Okay, so let's get started. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining us today and for everyone that's kind of been joining us for the last few weeks, months in this series of webinars. I'm Sebastian Simpson, Business Development Manager for VisiLean. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so hopefully you can all still hear me clearly, even though I'm a bit bunged up, and hopefully it won't affect anything. So for those of you who are just joining us today, and I see a few people that have been here for the last few weeks, we've been going through a different aspect of digitalization. And each week we go into a bit more detail into one of those aspects and the kind of principles behind it. And what's also very important is that we go into the application of one of those principles, because it's all kind of well and good and trying to implement something, but without the right application, it's just not going to succeed. So we go into a lot of detail about those. If you have missed any of the previous sessions, they're on our website at VisiLean.com/webinar, and they're also on our YouTube channel. So today is session 5, which is on Lean-BIM integration. And then in 2 weeks' time, we have the last session, which is on progress visualization. The registration for the last session is open, so please go to VisiLean.com/webinar to register for that, and we'll send you out all the information. Hopefully, we're going to do a couple of other sessions as well, especially something on the lines of coronavirus and how it's affecting the industry, and things we can do to kind of reduce the impact of that. And if there's any other sessions that people want us to do or any topics, please get in touch and let us know. You can email me at seb@visilean.com if you've got anything. So we've touched upon this pretty much every week, but we are all in this together. And if there's anything we can do to help people, please let us know. So we're offering 3 months complimentary access of our software to anyone who's working on any health-related projects to help with COVID-19. But also, if there's anything you think we could help with, or let us know. We're here to help, and we'll try and do everything we can to help everyone. But again, please get in touch if it's something you think would benefit you or you've been affected by it. So let's get into session 5, which is Lean-BIM integration. So when you're kind of starting out on your journey with BIM, it's important to understand it. So there's 3 kind of aspects. You've got visualization of project elements and design of what's being developed. And if you're able to see something visually, it kind of gives you a very kind of easy, common language to understand it, okay? Then we've got information. So with BIM, you can have a whole load of different information depending on what you're kind of looking for. You can have what's being built, elements, dimensions, weights, materials, quality, quantity, location. Loads of different information is at hand. You just need to know kind of what you want to get out of BIM and kind of what kind of BIM strategy you want to implement. And then there's the process. So the M in BIM kind of stands for multiple things, really, depending on your look on it. It can stand for modeling, management, or monitoring. BIM is a constant process that's always evolving. There's always new strategies, implementation, tech, and it's very important to understand that it's not just one shoe fits all kind of thing. It's a constant evolving process that you need to understand and continuously put a lot of effort in to keep staying on top of the latest trends and technologies out there. So when you're implementing a BIM strategy, it's important to know the kind of uses of BIM. So you've got the kind of traditional visualization through a 3D model. You can have bill of quantities. You can have certain properties and specifications related to the your models and things like that. So if you are doing a handover, then that could be important for things like facilities management. You can have location-based data on it. And then you can start to get into kind of 4D, 5D with linking kind of models and BIM strategies to time and cost and things like that. So I just want to do a quick survey. Firstly, if everyone could just vote. Are you currently implementing BIM on projects? And the answers are yes, no, no, but I'd like to, and yes, but partially. Okay, so we've got, I don't know if you guys can see this, but we can, there's a wide spectrum here. Some people aren't using it. Some people would like to. Some people are using it, but probably not seeing all the benefits. And then there's people that are using it. Okay. So here are some examples of BIM uses and potential. So we've got clash resolution, 4D construction simulation, 5D cost simulation, acoustic simulations, energy simulations, structural analysis, design reviews, design alternatives, virtual reality and augmented reality, and generative designs. So it's very important at the beginning of the project to kind of understand what potential uses of BIM are and what you want to kind of get out of it. I mean, is it really relevant to you to do energy simulations, or is it important for you to do clash detections? So that's all something you need to kind of sit down with the kind of stakeholders and really kind of pinpoint down what exactly it is you think you'll get the most benefits and value from using BIM. Just quickly, last one. What ways are people using BIM? So 3D visualization, that should say clash detection, quantities, 4D simulation, other uses. I would love it to do clash detection. That'd be really handy, actually. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see these, but there's a wide variety. So some people using it just for 3D, some people using it for the clash, some people using it for 4D simulation, and no one's using it for quantities, actually. Okay, so that's useful to know. Okay. So some of the challenges when adopting a BIM strategy in construction, they're pretty similar to any kind of challenge you face when you're trying to bring something new into a company that have worked a certain way for so many years. So with BIM, I think there's a misconception that it's limited to only complex projects, when that's not really the case. BIM can be used in all sorts of projects, simple to complex. I think it's actually probably beneficial to use it on a simple project to begin with, so you really understand the process, you get everything aligned, and then you can take it onto a more complex project. There's incomplete stakeholder involvement and vendor support. So, well, like we've said in loads of previous webinars, people are working in isolations. People aren't really sharing that data. We've been to loads of construction sites where they do actually have BIM models, but only the people that made those are actually using them. So the guys on site or the teams on site never see them. They're not really, they haven't really had the involvement from everyone in that kind of information process to kind of really generate models that are very specific and help everyone. Then we've got limited demand for BIM-driven project delivery. So there's a tendency to hire external BIM consultants. So that comes with its own issues. So are they really going to have the kind of the buy-in of the project? Are they really going to care as much? Are they really going to understand everything? Then there's limited kind of input from clients and authorities. So you've got a BIM model, but have you really spoken to the client about what would generate value for them, or what they would want to get out of using BIM, or how can BIM really maximize their value? And then with everything that you try and implement that's new, if it doesn't work, people have a tendency to shift back to the way things worked well for them but previously, especially in kind of construction projects where times are so tight and commercial values are so high and there's so much risk associated with it. there is a tendency, if it doesn't work, to just go back to the way things were before, which isn't always the case. When implementing any sort of new strategy, whether it be BIM or Lean or a new process, you need to understand that there is going to be a requirement for a lot of time and effort into learning, getting it right. Rome wasn't built in a day, kind of thing. And then with any of these things, there's constant training and awareness to see what can we do better, what's not going well, what can we take on to the next project. And the application of a kind of BIM strategy or using BIM in construction. So firstly, get yourself a pilot, something you know you're going to have the right team, the right project, that you're actually going to make this work, a project that will actually benefit from using BIM. Then you kind of find out kind of what BIM strategy or what uses of BIMs you think would benefit that project the most. So do you really need to do energy simulations? Do you want to do 4D simulations? Get the appropriate BIM use for that project. Then you need to understand that you need to align the right process with the right people, with the right technology. And once you've done that, then you can demonstrate to your wider company, wider industry, the proper use of BIM and the real benefits behind it. So this graphic kind of demonstrates you can use BIM for the design development stage, then you can use it during kind of planning and execution, but there's a real gap where it doesn't actually get to see project delivery on site. So people are spending thousands of pounds, months creating all this kind of BIM strategies, models, information, and yet when it gets to site, there's a real gap where that information doesn't get passed on. And that's where kind of the value starts to drop out again. So it's very important that once you have the designs and the planning and the implementation correct, that you carry that forward to site and allow people to execute properly with those models and information that you've already gathered. So this is just an example. We showed this previously when we mentioned, we did the webinar on Lean implementation. So Lean and BIM philosophies are aligned. So whether it's visual management, so that's whether it's production planning or visualization through 3D models, BIM and Lean allow people to visually and efficiently schedule works, do clash detections, provides a very common language for everyone to understand. It becomes a very powerful visual tool for people to understand progress and to do things in construction. The use of Lean tools like big rooms and the last planner system allow people to collaborate. And also with BIM, it allows early contribution for all stakeholders in a project. So you don't have to wait till the project's coming out of the ground to get the MEP guys to start doing clash detection and things like that. If you have relevant BIM models and strategies and things like that and information, people can come on site a lot earlier, and then we can start to reduce that waste when we get to site, because hopefully we'd have done a lot of clash detections and problem solving before we get there. And I think we're going to show a case study later, but those kind of big rooms where you have a screen, you can get everyone in, you can go through the models, you can go through any sort of data and information, start doing simulations, allows for that real collaborative environment where people can get involved early on. And then we go back to that Lean lens we mentioned the last few weeks. So Lean and BIM allow you to identify kind of those value-adding activities and get rid of the non-value-adding activities. It allows you to maximize kind of value from the client. BIM and Lean construction have both very similar kind of working principles in construction. And just try and get that maximum value for that customer and reduce that waste as much as possible. So there's three core organizational pillars of implementing a Lean and BIM. So firstly, you need to kind of refine and understand your business processes and strategies. Then it's where you get the client involved and understand really what's maximum value for them, or what they consider to be high value parts of the project or things like that. Then you need to have the right information and technology. Now, unless these three processes or pillars are aligned, then the strategy or implementing BIM and Lean may not always work. So they have to be all aligned. You have to have the right people, the right technology, understand value from the customer, and understand your business processes and strategies and how you're going to do things. Once they're aligned, the flow of information and everything becomes more efficient, and you can maximize value and minimize waste. So now we're going to get into kind of Lean BIM integration with VisiLean. So what we've got is a real-time project progress. So we have visualization through our 3D model and our BIM viewer. Now in that, you can filter the model by specific elements, or you can search for specific parts of the model, and you can navigate through it, make it bigger, smaller, move it around, things like that. Then we've got our 4D BIM. So we link that model to our project plan. Then we have 4D Lean. So you can visualize the production plan in real time with our 4D view of project progress. And that's linked directly to your BIM model. And then we've got automated linking. So what we've done is we've made it very easy to link that model to that plan with automated linking rather than manual linking. Why have we done that? Well, manual linking is a non-value adding activity. So with automated linking, it's specific value adding activity. It's very quick, reduces that time you would have spent doing it manually. And then again, we can filter the model by users, organization, or task status. So again, what we're trying to do there is get rid of that non-value adding activity of navigating through it, searching for things, where we've got specific filtering so you can get the information you require as quick as possible. So we're not wasting any time. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but we will be taking questions at the end. If anyone has any, I can invite some of the VisiLean team to answer some of your questions. So with VisiLean, we're completely compatible. So we can import any model in IFC format, and we can import from any sort of planning software, whether it's P6, Asta, Excel, MS Projects. If you are working on Synchro, then we can import the whole project and plan directly linked already. Okay. If not, then you have to use either the manual linking or automated linking that we provide, which I'll show you a bit later. So like I said, we've got different types of linking. You can do the manual linking, where you basically are picking elements of the model or multiple elements of the model, and then clicking a task and pressing link. Then we've got automated linking, where it offers you a much quicker way of linking the model to the plan. So you're not wasting time doing it completely manually. Again, we're trying to reduce time, effort, and only do value-adding activities. So this is an example of our BIM viewer. Unfortunately, this is a PDF, so I can't navigate through this. But what you can do is you can move the model around. You can make it bigger and smaller. You can click on an element, and then on the left-hand side, that element will be highlighted. And I'm not sure if you can see here, but there's a little number at the end of each element. And basically what that is the number of tasks that's linked to. Now, what's important when you are kind of implementing a BIM strategy or getting models made or things like that is you make it relevant to the work you're doing. So you might want separate MEP models or a structural model, or if you're already kind of working at 12-week look-aheads, you probably won't need a complete model. So you might just want a model relevant for that time frame. So it's very important that that kind of strategy is done at the beginning, because otherwise you can have models that end up being not relevant or too clunky or hard to navigate. So if that's something you need help with, that's something we can do as well. Coming up with that whole aligned kind of process so that the BIM is aligned with the production and the planning. Because otherwise, if things are being done separately, people working in silos, it's not going to be efficient, and the only thing that's going to be wasted is time, effort, kind of money later on in the project to fix that problem. So then we've got kind of live 4D real-time visualization. So what you can see here is the screen is split 50-50. At the top, we've got the model, and at the bottom, we've got a production plan. So the production plan is basically a look ahead where it goes from 12 weeks all the way back to the current week. These tasks are linked to that model. So anything that's green means it's done or complete, complete or quality checked. If it's red, it means it's stopped. Pink means it's not ready. So as and when you scroll through the dates, what's being worked on in that time frame will be reflected in that model. So it's a very visual, powerful way of seeing the status of the project in that time frame just by looking at the model. So you don't have to be a Revit expert or a planner to be able to understand the progress of where we are. Just by looking at something and seeing that it's red, you know it's stopped, and it could be this because I can't see the screen anymore. What we've got here is just an example of how you would kind of do it with VisiLean. So we split the screen 50-50. Now we're filtering. We've pressed show completed. So only what's being completed in the project will be highlighted with those kind of green colors. Now we're filtering it by kind of the rest of the statuses. So pink means it's not ready, yellow means it's unassigned, and purple means it's started. So what we can see here is if I was looking at, for example, next week's dates, and I could see there were some pink items or yellow items. Pink means it's not ready, so I know there could be an issue there. And yellow means it's unassigned. So again, that could cause an issue. If it's next week and it's not been assigned, has someone going to have got everything ready, got the materials ready, tools, check the space, everything. So it's just a very quick, easy way of looking at a project and understanding the status. And then if I look at the bottom half of the screen, I can see the days of the week it's due to be worked on and the team's responsible and the employee responsible. So just by glancing at this screen, I know the status, I know what the actual project should look like, and I know who's responsible for something and when it's going to be worked on. Then you can click on the task and go into a bit more detail as to the history of it, why it's not ready. You can change the status. You can leave a note if you now want someone to prioritize this. Okay. The software is designed to be as easy as possible to use. So you don't have to be, like I said, a planning expert or Revit expert to be able to use it. It allows everyone in the project to be able to navigate through this as simple, as easy as possible in a very visual, common language that everyone should understand. So after using VisiLean for about half an hour, you should be able to understand the kind of color codes and everything like that. Okay. So this is a case study from Mace over in Dublin, who are building a data center where they implemented a lean kind of BIM strategy there. So what you can see here is that screen split 50-50. At the top, we've got the model. At the bottom, we've got the production plan. So those tasks are pink, which means they're not ready. And just by looking at the model, you know straight away which parts aren't ready and which need to be actioned, and the make ready process needs to be followed. Now, on this project, they had parts of the project which were being manufactured off-site, which they used a kind of lean BIM strategy to follow the production all the way from factory to site. So it was a very visual, powerful tool to understand exactly whether things were ready, whether they're not ready, when they were being installed. And they used one of those big rooms there where they had big screens and got everyone involved, and they could understand on people in a very visual, collaborative environment to help work on the project and understand progress. Now, they built 3 data centers, identical. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Kevin's in here. The first one, they used kind of manual kind of tools, and I think they went to, on the 3rd data center, they used VisiLean. And they went from, some of the achievements were 60% reduction in defects, 43% improvement in program efficiency, and 45% reduction in labor spend. And they went from building the first one in 21 weeks, using those kind of manual processes, to the third data center where they used VisiLean and a Lean-BIM integration, which they built in 9 weeks. So you can see the benefits. If you have the right kind of project, you have the right team, the right technology, people, and everyone, and you implement the right process, that the benefits of a kind of lean BIM digital solution can be huge. So you're able to visualize the project in 3D. You've got much more efficient and collaborative production planning. The execution on site becomes much more efficient. You've got the data, you get live project updates and data, and then you've got live 4D progress visualization, okay? Like I said, you need the right people, the right strategy, and the right technology to be able to implement one of these strategies effectively. Without one of those things, it's just not going to see the same benefits or succeed. So that's why every week we go into not just what you need to do it, but how you need to do it, because that's just as important. So this is the second to last session. In 2 weeks' time, we've got our final one, although I am hoping we're going to do a couple of topics, especially something related to COVID-19. But in 2 weeks' time session, it's on progress visualization. And that is now open for registration. So if you go to VisiLean.com/webinar, and you can register your interest for that one there, and we'll send you out all the information. Likewise, this one will be recorded and put there. And if anyone wants any of the previous recordings, please just drop me an email at seb@visilean.com and we can send them out to you. Now, that's it for today. So if anyone has any questions, I'll open up the Q&A mode, and you can just type it on the chat pod if you just click on the Q&A section. So a few people are typing. So if there's something I can't, okay. How well does the flow of information and communication improve with Lean BIM integration? Okay, so I'm going to invite Dr. Bhargav to turn on his mic, as he's the expert in this kind of field.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great question. So since Lean provides kind of the production and process related information and improves that sort of information flow and provides a framework for collaboration, and BIM provides product related information and design related information, and as you know, both are quite important when it comes to production management. And so when you simultaneously apply both of these, it greatly improves the flow of information and communication, because you have a framework for collaboration, number one. You have a framework, in general, for the process, how you're going to follow. And there is an integration of your top-down processes with your bottom-up processes, with all the teams and everybody together. And so when you put these things when you put Lean sort of processes and BIM together, it really addresses this sort of collaboration quite well.
A few more people are typing, and just to touch on that one, when you are using BIM, like we mentioned earlier, it allows people to get involved at a much earlier stage. So that flow of information is passing along people a lot quicker than it traditionally would do. We've got another question. Where can I get more information about the Mace case study? What BIM capabilities were used in that project? Was VisiLean used from the beginning of the project? So if you drop us an email, or I think we should have your details, I should be able to send that out to you. So VisiLean wasn't used on the first 2 data centers, I believe, but it was only used on the 3rd one. Am I right there, Dr. Bhargav?
Yeah, so actually we first went live on data center 3 and 4 towards the end of that. And what BIM capabilities were used in that project? Well, I mean, they used BIM for all sorts of things like, of course, for design, then clash detection, 4D, and those kind of things. And then VisiLean was sort of brought in as a production level 4D system. There is a case study which was published in IGLC, Ritu, so I think we'll send it to you. And then following from that, VisiLean now is being used as an exclusive production management system for data center 5 and 6, which is kind of the subsequent project going from there. And these sort of are built in pairs. So this is basically the third project. You can sort of put it that way. And yes, in this case, in the kind of the latest one, it's being used from the beginning of the project. So yeah, that's right.
Okay, we've got a few more people typing. Is it good to integrate BIM and Lean in the design phase?
Absolutely. I think in production, in sort of Lean production, design is not considered as a separate activity, from construction itself. So construction and design, they go hand in hand. And if you start to integrate, I mean, some of the best IPD case studies, integrated project delivery system case studies, which emerged from the States, they actually they started to put together this sort of collaborative planning processes, the big room, the integrated concurrent engineering, the ICE sort of facilities, already from the design phase, even conceptual design phase, I would say. And so it's obviously very good to integrate these two in the design phase. There is a guide I wrote back in, I think, 2013. It was published, which talked about, it was an industry guide about how to integrate Lean and BIM, and that provides some workflows, and it's freely available. So if you Google sort of Lean and BIM guide, and it was published by Ciria, CIRIA, and if you put this into sort of Google, you'll find that guide where some of these benefits have been outlined in quite a lot of detail.
Okay, and just touching on that, it's important to be able to implement BIM and Lean in the design phase, because if you do carry on to the construction phase, it's very important to have that aligned flow and have everything available in one kind of space and platform. But just because of the data it generates, it's so powerful at the end of the project to evaluate from start to finish, which is quite rare. Okay, more. Where can I get information? We've done that one. How well is Lean BIM helpful in terms of cost in small scale constructions?
Yeah, so I think this is a very interesting question. Actually, you have to define sort of small scale. So if you are talking about a single family house, like a bungalow, I mean, you're looking at a very small project, and you may not have very sophisticated processes being deployed on that. Even there, though, I mean, I have seen people sort of implement, for example, 3D modeling, so BIM being applied, BIM being used for clash detection and these sort of processes. And some small house builders have actually gone into Lean processes as well. So I've seen even as little as sort of 2 million projects using quite a lot of Lean collaborative processes and some BIM. But it just varies. You need to have a consistent sort of a process in order to get value out of this project. So if you're just going to do this on a one-off project, you might not get the returns that you're looking for. But if you are going to repeat these processes over number of projects over the years, then I think it's much more wise to sort of start investing into these processes, because the benefits that you'll get over the let's say over a period of 5 years, 10 years, they'll far outweigh the cost that you actually initially put in. So I hope that helps.
Okay, if no one has any more questions, that will be it. But if not, we'll just I'll keep the room open for a couple more minutes in case anyone else has a question. But thank you so much for joining today, and I'll hopefully see everyone in 2 weeks. And if you have any other topics or anything like that that you'd like us to address, please let us know or send them in, and we'll try and speak about them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Seb, for a great presentation and a session.
Thank you.
Thank you.